So we are live now, and a very, very good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone who's joined us for this session of Litera Gantavya. On behalf of ZLearn, I, Paromita Chattopadhyay, extend the warmest gratitude to each one of you for being a part of this landmark season of Litera Gantavya 2024. Building on the tremendous success of Litera Gantavya 2023, this year's program is a testament to our enduring commitment to shaping the future of our learners. We truly believe that future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. At ZLearn, we are dedicated to empowering 21st century learners to face the ever-changing world with confidence, clarity, and purpose. Litera Gantavya is not just an initiative, it's a transformative platform designed to bridge the gap between aspiration and opportunity. By connecting our young dreamers with higher education pathways that resonate with their talents and passion, we aim to guide them towards fulfilling and impactful careers. This initiative is crafted to illuminate the road ahead for students, enabling them to make informed decisions at their pivotal stage in their lives. It offers insights into diverse career possibilities and academic pathways, helping students align their strengths, interests, and ambitions to build a future they can be proud of. We truly believe that an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. Through Litera Gantavya, we aim to nurture the investment by providing access to essential information and expert guidance, ensuring our students are equipped to navigate their journeys with wisdom and determination. Thank you all so much for joining in today for today's session. Please use the link in the description box to share your questions with us. Now, I take absolute pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to our guest for today's evening, Mr. Vikram Patel, Director Outreach of Plaksha University for all undergrad and summer programs. He graduated with honors in computer application from Mangalore University and holds a master's degree in business from ITM Business School in Mumbai. With over a decade of experience in higher education, he has worked across various domains. Before promoting interdisciplinary engineering programs at Plaksha, Vikram focused on raising awareness about liberal arts and sciences, science education at Kriya and Ahmedabad University. In his current role, he is dedicated to fostering an understanding of emerging technologies and exploring the intersections of fields such as biology, economics, finance, and business with technology. He encourages students to incorporate project-based learning, research, faculty interactions, and peer collaborations into core decision-making processes. It's an absolute honor to have you with us today, Mr. Vikram Patel, absolute honor. Alongside Mr. Vikram Patel, we are also delighted to have with us a student of Plaksha University, Mr. Shubham Jalan, a third-year computer science and artificial intelligence student studying presently at Plaksha University. He is actively engaged in cutting-edge work across multiple labs, including DGTT, robotics, CTLC, and is serving as the Vice President of the Student Council. Thanks both of you once again for joining us today. We would be really happy for you to share all your expertise and experiences with our learners and their parents today on this platform. Thank you once again for joining us for today's session, and a very, very warm thank you to all our parents and students who joined us today. Over to you, Vikram and Shubham. The stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paramita. This is really great for having us, and thank you to the ZLearn team for putting this together. Um, I think the topic today on the future of technology and what's happening is such a, it's such a opportune time to discuss this. There are several fields that one can study. There is technology, there's medicine, there is humanities, there's social sciences, there's so many other areas. But I think one field that sort of is completely transforming at a very, 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 very fast pace is the field of technology. And today we are going to discuss just that. Let me just start by sharing my screen. I think before we go even into the field of tech, I want to ask a very simple question, right, to everybody. I know I won't be able to read the comments on YouTube, but generally, what makes a good university for students and parents when they think of university education. And Jabibi, when you ask this question to people, the first thing that comes to mind is legacy and ranking and accreditation. Tell us what rank is this university or where does it stand? Uh, is generally how people take decisions. Placements comes at the top. Many of us think of university education as just a mean to get a good job, to get a well-paying job. And while it's not wrong for you to think that, but education is meant to prepare you for life, right? So I think so this is one of the factors that sort of comes in at the very top. Affordability is another factor. People want to consider education systems or universities that are very affordable, or have enormous amounts of scholarships. Beyond campus, beyond academics, what can I do? So campus and student life generally comes at the top. Majors, what am I going to study? The course that I'm going to study, will this university offer that course, is also some consideration that generally students do. Faculty profiles, I think faculty generally comes last. Most students in India don't look at faculty when they make a decision. But can I say, it's such an important factor for you to look at, because at the end of the day, anybody with money can build good universities or good looking universities or have great infrastructure. But I think it's the faculty and the kind of experience they build within the university is what makes that university great, right? So, if I were to tell you, I mean, if you just place your bets on good faculty, there are very rare chances that you will go wrong with that. So generally, this is the consideration, right? But let's now look at what happens once people graduate. This is if this is the decision-making process, then let's look at the employability report. So this is the National Employability Survey that happened in 2019, which talks about the huge gap between what kind of graduates we're creating and what are expected in the industry. 80% of our engineers, for instance, are unemployable. Not that they're unemployed, but they don't have any skills to sort of get jobs in their core discipline, or those skills aren't enough. Barely, 60%, 40% faculty talk about real world applications. I mean, imagine engineering is supposed to be the most hands-on, areas of study. Engineers are supposed to meant to solve problems. And here faculty don't know about real world applications. Students barely do internships. But if you go deeper into this report, and I invite everyone to read this report carefully, it says that barely 1.5% engineers in India understand emerging technologies. Everybody wants a job in big tech company. They want to work for Meta, Google, Amazon. When you think of these companies, they are looking for people who sort of can work with, they understand large language modeling, understand computer vision, understand AI, machine learning. And when you look at the kind of graduates we are creating in the country, barely 1% or 1.5% understand it. So there is a huge gap. Currently, India has more than 5,000 engineering colleges, right? So, but still this gap exists. High quality engineering education is a big issue in the country. So beyond these parameters, what is that? What is it that parents and students should look at? I would urge most people to look at pedagogy very, very seriously. And if you haven't heard of this term, pedagogy means how you learn. So content is what you learn, right? What you study in the classroom. And pedagogy is how you learn. What makes an MIT a great university? Math, for instance, is a subject that's taught in most engineering colleges in India. Any university which teaches you technology will have to teach you mathematics. It will have to teach you, calculus and linear algebra and integration differentiation. But how it is taught is what makes a great university. Are you learning from a textbook? Are you learning from a video that the professor is showing you? Is it just a PPT and a monologue? Or are you engaging in real world problems? Are you trying to learn concepts by solving problems, using real data, using real examples? I think that is what makes a great graduate. So, beyond just rankings, beyond placements, beyond looking at reputation, today it's even more important for you to look at what kind of experiences am I going to have? What kind of skills will I pick up? Both technical skills and soft skills. Uh, is this university going to teach me problem solving? Will I learn to collaborate? Will I have a classroom of students who are all in the race of solving problems? Will they inspire me? I think those are questions that we want our graduates or high school students to think about before you take a decision, right? Uh, Very quickly moving on, let's also talk about the history a little bit, right? I think many speakers, me or before me, must have come and told you that everything is changing, the world is changing, the jobs are changing. It is because the pace of change has never been so fast. If you look at the four industrial revolutions, the distance between the third and the fourth has just been about 40 years, right? And the pace of change is very, very fast. For instance, the telephone took about 50 years for 1 million users. When Facebook came, it took 2 years for 1 million users, just 2 years. Instagram took about 2 months, and sort of ChatGPT took about a couple of days to have 1 million users. That's the pace of change. That's what we are talking about. That, how do we prepare students for a 20, 30-year long career, which is changing so rapidly? I think that is the big question, right? And that's why when you look at the fourth industrial revolution, it also talks about blurring of boundaries. It talks about having no boundaries between what is physical, what is digital, what is biological by definition. So think about solutions which don't have boundaries. So then how can you have education which is very siloed? Just say you are learning mechanical engineering, you're learning civil engineering, electrical engineering, computer science engineering, such rigid siloed disciplines. But when you look at solutions today, think about Neuralink, for instance. I'm sure many of you have heard of Neuralink. Now, is Neuralink designed by a biologist, or is it designed by an electrical engineer, or is it designed by a computer scientist? I think solutions like that require you to bring expertise from different disciplines coming together, talking to each other, collaborating with people. That is the fourth industrial revolution. But most of our education system is geared towards preparing us for jobs of yesterday. I think that is where there's a huge gap, right? I think we've set context enough. Let me also talk about interdisciplinarity. I think I spoke about it very briefly, but generally most education universities that exist today have disciplines that look like this. There is civil, mechanical, electrical, computer science. But if you look at the jobs of the future, you have many jobs like you have jobs like AI ethicists, which is a job that is at the intersection of humanities, social sciences, along with tech. Somebody needs to be very good in math and computing to be able to be an AI engineer, but he or she will also have to learn psychology and philosophy and ethics to be able to be to be able to get a job of an AI ethicist, or jobs like prompt engineers, where along with math and compute you also need to be good with English and your instructions. So that's where I think we are heading, right? And that is why there's a lot more emphasis, even from the NEP in India, for a very interdisciplinary kind of an education system, which sort of is not siloed, right? Another question for everyone, right? See, generally, if you think of the IITs and when kids prepare for advanced, computer science happens to be the first preferred topic, and then comes generally electrical, electronics, and then you have mechanical. But if you were to think of the world around us, I mean, are machines in our life reducing or increasing? If you look around us, we use more and more gadgets every day. So why is mechanical not the most popular, discipline? It's just the way a mechanical engineer is trained is not sufficient anymore. Today's machines are robots. They're cyber physical systems. Machine is smart. It has code. It has electrical circuit sensors. So would you think of a mechanical engineering today, or would you rather consider an area like robotics or IoT? I think that's the question that you need to ask yourself. And it's not that those disciplines are not required. But I think, when you think of a 20, 30, 40-year career, what is going to come up? I think that's the question that, you should sort of ask yourself. And finally, the last slide on context is, beyond your domain expertise, I think the kind of soft skills that are required are absolutely paramount. There is a survey that was done on human machine working hours and what kind of jobs will go away and what kind of jobs will stay. And if you look at that slide, at the bottom of the pyramid is really the jobs that require just a clerical information processing, A plus B equal to C. You don't need human beings to do that anymore. You press a button, and you get a coffee prepared. You don't need, Indigo, for instance. You can go to an airport, not talk to a human being, get your bag out. All of that is possible today. So most jobs that don't require thinking, that don't require innate human abilities, are going to be automated. So what are the jobs that will remain? The jobs that has reasoning, decision making, collaboration, empathy. Those are the jobs that will remain, right? And traditionally, you would see an engineer not having too many soft skills. These are people who can create websites and apps, and but very rarely would they ask, who am I making this for? Or what is the larger scheme of things? The big picture connection doesn't generally come to engineers. But I think today's requirement is to bring all of this together for somebody to have the technical depth, but also to be able to work in a dynamic environment, in an unstructured environment, to identify questions, talk to people who are not like them, empathize with the audience. So I think generally, if you were to look at, this is the kind of universities that you should look for. So let's talk about what are the kind of programs that Plaksha offers. I'm going to talk about Plaksha a little bit later, but I want to talk about the programs that we offer, right? So I clearly said that emerging tech is going to be an area that really will require, understanding of different technologies, whether, it's AI, or, when you think of applications like these chatbots. Many of us think AI is very new, but we've been using it for so long. Siri, if you've been using Siri, it's a chatbot that uses AI and ML, right? Or Google Maps. How many of us have used Google Maps just today? How does it calculate estimated time of arrival? How does it calculate all of that? So I think there are codes, newer kinds of technologies that are working in the background for these applications to happen. Today are virtual try-ons. When you go on Amazon and you pick a shirt, and if I put my picture, it shows of how I look wearing that shirt. I think all of these are applications of emerging technologies. So the first program that Laksha offers is sort of like an integrated program, which is adding on to the traditional CSE program that generally is offered in engineering universities. I think the difference really is that we have a large component of AI within this program. Generally, also, all over good universities in the world, all of them in the computer science program offer some courses in AI. But I think Plaksha's program has a good mix of a lot of these, courses within AI, and you can think of various examples. And I would like to sort of invite Shubham here. And Shubham, you're doing the CSE program, right? So tell us a little bit about the kind of courses and what are the kind of things they're preparing you for.
Sure, Vikram. Thank you so much. So, I'm a CSI student at Plaksha, and I'm really happy to share that even from the freshmore curriculum, that is the first 3 semesters of Plaksha, we begin learning some of AI. That is, even if we are doing data science, something just works primarily with data, we have some AI components in it. When you take the CSI major, you learn about AI in a deep manner. For example, you'd be doing courses like machine learning and pattern recognition, where you need to understand different ML domains, what their applications are, how to solve problems in them, and so on. Or you would have courses like deep learning, which trains you entirely about how to work with neural networks, how to solve problems that companies like OpenAI solve today, and so on. And we also work with conventional AI, which is very important going forward. For example, we have a course called Search Methods in AI, where we try to learn how search methods work, depth first, breadth first, and how we incorporate AI in that and all of that. So, in a nutshell, when you are doing CSAI, you are specializing in AI in really using AI to get something done, but it does not mean that doing any other major is limiting you to that knowledge. You are still open to take those AI electives, and from the freshman curriculum itself, you just start learning those AI concepts, and they stay with you with throughout your major.
Thank you. I think the freshmore that Shubham is talking about, we haven't covered it, but I'll come to it very soon. So this is the first program that we offer, right? The second one is at the intersection of biology and tech. I don't know how many of you know this, but almost 60% of all research that happens in the world today in the field of engineering happens in the field of biology. I think because biology, this powerful combination of biology and math and computing is definite to solve some of the biggest problems that we face today, as a human race, whether it is in the field of public health, planetary health. I invite all of you to read more. In fact, there is I generally give this example to everybody. There's a show called Explained on Netflix, right? I mean, and within that are 20-minute episodes that talk about different things, right? And there's one episode which is called Designer DNA. Please go and watch that episode to understand what is happening in the field of genetic engineering. So this so or that is one, right, where you're thinking about using genome sequence uh, to for the first time talk about curing or thinking about Parkinson's disease, which is really a terminal illness, but for you to detect it early, for instance. Or how do you improve harvest or quality of quality of seeds through gene enhancing. Or for instance, there are so many other things that can be done, cancer biology. So we have faculty members who work in the field of cancer, and whether something can be done there with this. So I think stuff like this is happening in the field of public health, but there's also planetary health, wherein, for example, Plaksha has a farm of sugarcane, 1 acre of sugarcane farm, where we use technology. We've actually developed a device through which you can measure sugar content in sugarcane. And, there are actually 1 or 2 days in the year when you can harvest it to get the best produce. So this machine actually can do that, and it is at like 1/20th of the current cost of that machine that generally exists. Or for example, using biopesticides, using geospatial AI, drones to understand the quality of your crops. So stuff like this is possible. And at Plaksha, we offer a program called Biosystems Engineering, right? Generally, when students take this combination of PCM, physics, chemistry, and math, they think biology is the last subject they want to study. But really, I think this program sort of gets you into areas like biomedical engineering or bioinformatics, biotechnology. So this is another very strong major that we offer. The third one, really, I think I already spoke about this, is about building smart machines or intelligent machines, in particularly robotics and cyber physical systems. So when you look at anything around us, like that smart ring that currently is also a cyber physical system, right? It has physical components, but it has complex code that it runs on. It has sensors. And anything that you look around us, machines are becoming more and more intelligent. The lifts that we use, the cars that we drive, all of them are actually in many ways robots, right? So I think we offer a program called Robotics and Cyber Physical Systems, which would deal with all of these applications. Primarily we look at aerial robotics like drones. There's underwater robotics, and so on and so forth. And I will invite Shubham at some point to talk about his project, because even though he's a CSAI student, he's working on a under. So Shubham, do you want to quickly talk about your project?
Sure. I can't share a lot of the details about it, but we're working on an underwater robot that can navigate autonomously in an underwater environment. And we are doing this for an international competition. Um, so,
Okay.
yeah, if you come to Plaksha, I'll be happy to show you around and show you how the robot works.
Great, great. Thank you. And finally, the fourth program that Plaksha offers is really under the, around the field of data, right? We all know that data is the oil that companies run on. And now we have enormous amounts of data. For instance, if you think of it, you go to Japan, you can't speak the language, but you're at the airport, your phone's not working. I mean, you'll give out your passport number, your blood group, and anything they want just for free Wi-Fi. And nobody generally reads those guidelines on what people are asking us. But all of it, you're paying it for it through data. Companies like Amazon, Google, Flipkart, they have millions and billions of records of people. There is again, a Netflix reference. There's a show, there is a movie called Social Dilemma, which talks about, what is happening in the field of social media, and they all actually have sort of digital twins, or and they know exactly who you are, where you live, what coffee you like, where's your school, what car you drive, what colors you like, what app you use at what time of the day, and they can modify your behavior, right? So I think data is really key at a lot of these companies. And generally, when you look at statisticians who've been playing this role for a really long time, many of them actually lack the technology know-how for them to be really, really effective, right? And many of these data science engineering programs don't give you the context of business, or they don't give you a context of economics. You don't understand the problem very well. Right. So that's where Plaksha has a program. So whether you look at, areas like consulting, or fintech, or, just at, at a policy level. So we offer a program called Data Science, Economics, and Business. Generally, many of the programs that we offer at Plaksha, you wouldn't find, not just in India, but anywhere. Very few places in the world would offer such programs, right? So there's a very beautiful combination that we offer. And, just to give you an example, I mean, if you think of Uber, right? All of us use Uber and Ola and all of them. So they have a model called surge price modeling. That if you book Uber at, say, prime times, like at 5 in the evening, when there's a lot of traffic and there's a lot of demand for cars, the prices would automatically go up. Now, if you just think of this model, what is that model doing? It's trying to looking at supply and demand, which is generally concepts taught in economics. It's trying to increase, the objective of that model is to actually increase profits for Uber. And profits are generally part of business studies. Profit, loss, accountancy is all part of business. But that model is based on data. It can do all of this because it's collecting data from millions of users. So I think this is the most obvious thing to teach together, right? Which is data science, economics, and business. Again, a great major that we offer, right? So that those are the programs. And quickly, I think we'll take the next 15 minutes to tell you about Plaksha and what we do. In a nutshell, Plaksha is very unique. Our vision is to reimagine technology, education, and research. And really, the mission is to create graduates who can use technology to solve some of the grand challenges that the world faces. India, for instance, have 100 plus grand challenges. So even if our graduates were to pick one challenge each, and of course, jobs, they are all going to get jobs. They're all good kids. They come from, good backgrounds. We have a selection process that ensures that, the right kind of students gets in. So jobs are not the concern. It's really whether we can make them think about the bigger issues of the world. And then eventually, they will build companies and solve problems, right? So that's the vision. And it's not something that we put on the website. That's what we live by every day. And every professor, every student is thinking about that. So fundamentally, we've changed three things. If we were to think of three pillars at Plaksha, and students, I know I am talking about Plaksha, but you can use these matrices to make a decision for any university you want to go to, right? First is curriculum. What are we teaching? What is different? I think that is really something that you should be very careful about, right? So what does Plaksha do differently? We have a very rigorous program, which, because technology is that sort of a discipline, right? So it's rigorous, but it's also relevant. It's relevant for what's changing. Our foundation, is on these three pillars, which is, mathematics, computing, and data. That's what we feel a modern engineer will need as the base. And I will show you the freshmore curriculum. So freshmore is the first 3 semesters at Plaksha. So just compare it with most other traditional universities in India, right? I mean, generally, if you look at foundation programs in engineering, You will have physics 1, physics 2, chemistry 1, chemistry 2, mathematics 1, mathematics 2, engineering drawing. This is something that's been taught for decades now, and nobody's sort of dared the question to say, okay, I'm going to be an ML engineer. Do I need core subjects in chemistry? Two subjects in the first year. Is it relevant? What else can I add here that will make me a good engineer? I think those are questions that barely institutes have asked. So I think Plaksha's curriculum is very, very unique. Our programs are interdisciplinary, and we also integrate design thinking, humanities, social sciences to ensure our graduates are all rounded. They are truly problem solvers. So that's our curriculum. The pedagogy is very innovative, where we it's very student centric. We are a very small university as of now. There are in all four batches, we have about 500 students. We have about 40 full-time faculty members and another maybe 50, 60 teaching and research assistants. So it's a very small ecosystem, and there's a lot of emphasis given on student-centric learning, on project-based learning. For instance, your math programs will also have some lab components, and there are modules that are designed. For instance, the ILGC module, where you can actually implement a lot of the learning that you do in the other courses within the ILGC projects. And of course, research is key to what we do at Plaksha. Even though we're a new university, it's not that research centers will start after the first 15 years. No, we've started from the day one. Our research centers are very, very up and coming, and they already get grants. So that's the kind of ecosystem that we've built. And finally, the ecosystem, right, which is a great set of founders, and we'll talk about some of it in the coming slides. So I want to talk about the structure. I think we are probably the only engineering school in the country that will allow you to come undeclared, which means that you come in, you study for the 3 semesters, which is the common program, and then you decide on what program you want to do. I think this is a huge advantage. Generally, you get admitted into a program, you get a seat in civil engineering or mechanical engineering. But Plaksha, the freshmore is designed in a way that it gets you to experience a little bit of everything, and then make a more informed decision on what you want to do as a major, right? So that's the first 3 semesters. The fourth, fifth, sixth semesters really for you to get most of your major courses done, deep dive into the area of specialization. And then the seventh to the eighth semester is either for your industry internship. So we have a semester long internship that is now possible, or you can go for a study abroad semester, or you can do a research semester. So that's how the structure is. But I want to quickly bring in Shubham. And Shubham, can you tell us a little bit about the freshmore? Because generally, I'm sure when parents are taking a decision, I don't think this is part of the consideration of what the curriculum is going to be. So tell us how it's different, because I'm sure you also have students, your friends studying in other universities. So tell us a little bit about this.
Sure, thank you so much, Vikram. One of the great things about the freshman curriculum here is that we do not try to teach students only one subject or subjects in only one domain of knowledge. So the freshman curriculum stays the same for everybody, where every student has to learn the same subjects. And what that enables is that you get to explore the courses that you would have never explored otherwise because of your biases or what thought you had when you came to a university. For example, if I came in with the idea of studying CSAI, uh, I at any other university, I would not get to explore other majors and understand what is happening in other domains, but I would just stick to that domain knowledge, which is CSAI. And freshman curriculum really breaks that cycle, and this is something I really like about it. Every student gets nits and bits of every major, and after 3 semesters, which is when the freshman curriculum ends, you end up in a confused state, which is actually really good for you because that enables you to make a more informed decision about what career path you want to take, right? And after freshman curriculum, like even on the slide, you can look at the different courses that we have. We have fundamentals of computational thinking, which is core CS, but you can also look at fundamentals of microeconomics, which is related to data science, economics, and business. So there are courses from every major. You study these for 3 semesters. Um, and after 3 semesters, Plaksha really helps you choose a major as well. We have a lot of workshops and sessions by both faculty and students who are taking those courses. And one-on-one interaction with them really helps because you can understand what that major entails and what your career opportunities would be after that. One thing more that I would like to add is that this enables a T-shaped learning, which has been found to work really well, where in the first 3 semesters we get to know what different domains and what different majors are and what they teach. So this allows you to have an all-rounder growth where you know little bits of everything, but after that you can specialize in one topic, which is where you can specialize in your future.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is also a place where we build a lot of rigor. I mean, like I think I said, math and computing and data are core to being a good engineer. So while we focus on breadth, I think there is also, like I think Shubham said, there is an equal emphasis on you going deep into a concept, just ensuring you know data structures because that's what's going to be asked. But at the same time, I think this whole notion that we call, which is called exploration, I don't think that generally happens. Even in school, you're supposed to just pick subjects without having to know what they would mean. Most kids take decisions based on notions or based on things they've heard of. And I think if there was an opportunity where you could explore things, generally this is offered abroad or in, sort of few liberal arts colleges that are in India, but very rarely would you get this sort of opportunity in a tech school. So who started Plaksha? So we are a philanthropy. We are part, it's called the model of collective philanthropy, where there is no one owner, but there are a group of donors who would donate to start Plaksha University, right? Because this is a model that is proven to be the most successful while building institutions. So, for instance, Takshashila that existed 3,000 years ago was based on the model of collective philanthropy, and most other universities. The good part is that we are very well funded, which is a big requirement for universities in India. Generally, if you ask this question to yourself, that and parents in India want kids, when they think of school, they want to think about a private school, but when it comes to graduation, they always run towards public universities, right? And think why that happens. The answer really is that public universities have been mostly affordable and have focused on quality education, at least a few of them, right? But when you think of private institutions, most of them sort of compromise on quality or compromise on how many students to take because they have a P&L to run. There is one owner, there is somebody who's looking at sustaining the university. And I think for universities like Plaksha, because we have so many donors, we don't have the unnecessary pressures that come with one owner, right? So that's who we are, and you can see, we have 100+ donors. The founders of companies like Naukri.com, Genpact, so many of them are also founders of Plaksha. Fractal Analytics, which is India's first AI unicorn. Shrikant is also a founder of Plaksha. So really, and companies like Bharti Airtel, Havels, Emphasis, Nagaro, Motilal Oswal, they're all donors. And we are one of the biggest collective philanthropic initiative in the country. So that also gives us a lot of credibility, right? The leadership of the university, who are these people? So Dr. Rudra Pratap is our vice chancellor. He's really the maverick who's brought all of them together. He was the former deputy director at Indian Institute of Science. He set up the Nanoscience and Technology Center there. So imagine somebody like him who could have gone and become a director of any institution that he wanted. Why would he choose to come to a private university, right? I think the question is, the answer really lies in what are we trying to build. We had the clean slate of building a next generation technology school, and that's, I think, what has excited a lot of people to come to Plaksha. Our chancellor, for instance, is Dr. Shankar Shastri, who's a former dean of engineering at Berkeley. So I think if you go through the Plaksha's website and read about these people, I think we've got the best minds from, say, the West and from India and from the Asian subcontinent to build a great program. Plaksha's programs didn't come up in a day or two. It took about 4 or 5 years for us to consult people around the world, from places like Purdue, MIT, Cornell, Berkeley, IITs, IISc, and we got all of them together to think about what should we teach, what should the courses be like, how should the curriculum be like. Nandini Kannan, for instance, who's the Dean of Academics, she was a former director executive director at NSF, National Science Foundation, and she herself would, for example, manage $500 million worth of funding in US universities. So these are the kind of people who are in Plaksha thinking about what to teach, thinking about the program, the curriculum. We also have a stellar group of faculty members, about 40 of them, handpicked from some of the best institutions in the country and around the world. Almost, I think 80% of them have teaching learning experiences from universities abroad. All of them are active researchers who contribute significantly. We also have people from the industry. So Prakash, for example, who leads the data science program, spent about 6 years in Amazon in Seattle as a senior economist. Siddharth has just come in from Microsoft. Shashank has worked in the corporate as well. So I think these are people who've spent great amounts of time in good institutions and also in the industry to sort of being able to teach at Plaksha. We have four research centers. Again, as I said, Plaksha is all about solving the big problems. So the problems that we picked are around clean energy, around food security, health, and water, right? And we have state-of-the-art facilities, great labs, and I would request anyone who's considering us to come and visit us, like I think Shubham said. Very quickly, we have a Office of Career, Corporate Partnerships and Careers. This is a place where it's not a placement cell. We're not just trying to get you your one terminal job at the end of the year, but we're really trying to see how you can build your profile. Every week, for instance, there are founders who are visiting the campus. Students get a chance to interact with them. There are a lot of workshops that are done. But quickly, Shubham, do you want to talk about your journey, your internships?
Sure, Vikram. So, for students, the internship cycle actually begins in the third year because the first 2 years you're just learning theoretical concepts, applying them in class, and after that you're more prepared to work in industry or academia. So, in the third year, your internship cycle will start. Companies would start coming in, and you would be asked to apply for them, and then that formal procedure starts where you would have to give assessments, interviews, and so on. One good thing about Plaksha is that the career of the CPC, the corporate cell, is really helpful in training you for all of these experiences of interviews and assessments. And that is primarily facilitated by the fact that we have a really small ratio of executives to students. So if you ever feel that you're not prepared in certain topic, you can always approach the cell and they'll be more than happy to allocate resources as well as people who can help you out. So in my case personally, a company came and it was a really seamless process because most of these things happen digitally. I was able to clear the rounds one after the other, and the corporate cell was really helpful in all of those stages. So that's about it. Our cell is really good, and you will actually be in good hands if you're here because placement is not a concern for any of us. We just try to utilize our college years to make the most out of it and have the most amount of self growth as we can.
Yeah. And if you look at the kind of roles, the kind of industries our kids are going in, we will soon have our placement report. By the way, we've started our placements. This is the first batch that's going out. And our kids are doing really well. In a month or two, we'll come out with a full report, but almost 60% of them are placed in great companies. And great roles. I think, large language modeling intern, these are not things that you generally get, or even companies that come to Plaksha. For instance, a company like BCG would only recruit from premier, public institutions in India, wouldn't even look at many other universities. So I think those are the kind of things that can happen. Of course, it doesn't mean it's automatic. You have to put in the work. Nothing comes easy, right? So the hard work is there, and that is what the program prepares you for. And at the end, you can work with corporate partnerships to sort of get into one of these companies. Very quickly, I wanted to show a video about some of our student projects.
We're thrilled to be here today to share our journey about Pineweed, a startup that began right here at Plaksha. My name is Devesh, and me, along with my team, are part of the founding batch from the CSI major. Originally, this was just supposed to be a cybersecurity AI project meant to get us good grades. But as we dig deeper into our market research, we interviewed over 30 penetration testers and security firms. We were surprised to learn that as much as 40% of their time is spent into just report compilation, separate from the actual audit. Additionally, a huge chunk of their time was spent in tedious research and repetitive tasks. Owing to all this, we wanted to make security audits more accessible and efficient for all. It started off as just an ILGC project turned into a startup last summer. The release of large language models and Plaksha's entrepreneurial spirit made it all possible. During this time, we used to work on our internships during the day and on Pinewheel by night. There was no doubt that this was truly tedious, but we were all driven by the passion of making security audits more accessible.
These are generally, there's another very short video.
India has a lot of different things. 18% of the world population, seventh largest country, largest democracy, and not surprising at all, but also the largest population of hearing and speech impaired individuals. What is surprising though is for these 66 million people in India, there are a whopping 314 certified sign language interpreters. This creates a huge communication gap within the society. India started off as a quick weekend project for my first hackathon in college. My team and I had developed a rudimentary app that let people convert speech to text in real time to converse without the use of sign language. The problem in my solution earlier was that I was trying to replace sign language with text, and this needed to change. Introducing Indira, a B2B SaaS platform that converts speech to sign language in real time. By providing accurate sign language animation, we're not only enabling communication for speech impaired individuals, but also promoting inclusivity at every step. Over this course, we have developed our own custom conversion engine, which takes in sound, processes it, and creates 3D animations of the corresponding sign language in real time.
So why am I showing you these videos is these are the kind of projects that you can also work on. Jobs are not just the only pathway that our students look at. A lot of them want to become entrepreneurs, start their own companies. There are people who want to go into the development sector. There are people who are interested in research. There are people who want to go study abroad. I think it's really, I mean, you can craft your own pathway once you come into Plaksha, right? We also have a Office of Global Engagements that can help you get into some of the best universities for either a research project or summer or for your master's progression. So I think all of this data is also available on the website. We're located 10 minutes away from Chandigarh Airport in this Chandigarh Tri-City area in Mohali. And you have a lot of academic institutions, ISB, ISER, they're all very close to Plaksha. Chandigarh is probably one of the most planned cities in India and a really good place. But Shubham, tell us a little bit about student life and what all you do on campus.
Sure. The student life here is really good. We have a lot of clubs. We have a lot of technical clubs. We have AI club. We have cybersecurity club. We have geek room club and so on. We have lots of cultural clubs as well. Art, dance, music, you name it, we'll have it. And I'm also happy to say that as part of the student council, if you were to start a new club, you would have all the support. Um, so student life in that case is really good because something or the else just keeps happening every day, and students are really motivated to take up these initiatives because that's how we are here. Everybody just wants to take initiatives, do something which can engage other people as well. We also recently had our first techno-cultural fest last week. So we can say that the campus life here is really good. You'll always find something or the other that will cater to your interests and likes.
Yeah, and it's also picking up slowly, right? I think it also requires a sufficient number of students. So I think finally we have some mass to sort of begin all of this, and you'll find things that you want. And just to close the admission process, so we, unlike like everything else, this is also very different at Plaksha. We didn't want to start another test. I'm sure all of you in grade 12 give a million tests already. But we look at applications very carefully, right? We are highly selective. So what do we look for? The first step is to apply online, wherein we look at your grades from 9th onwards, grade 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. You can apply with the 12th predicted score. We also look at competitive exams. So if you've given the SAT, the ACT, or JEE mains, you can submit those scores. Generally, we require you to perform above average in your academics and be good in mathematics consistently over your academic journey. It's a rigorous program, and that's the reason we requires you to be good in academics. But that isn't the only criteria. We also look at extracurriculars, we look at essays, we look at everything you've done outside the classroom, internships, your research projects, any entrepreneurship stint, sports, music, theater, anything, right? We want you to have a passion for technology, but we also want you to be a leader, somebody who can communicate, somebody who understands concepts. So that's really, I think, what we're looking for through the application. And if you get shortlisted, there are a couple of interactions with faculty, where you will have questions from math and physics, conceptual questions. And there is a innovation challenge where we're trying to see how you think about problems and how you solve them, right? So it's a very seamless process. Generally, students in India are not used to this sort of a process because, admission is only based on one exam. This is a long process, right? So you will have to be patient with us. But trust us that when you come into the university, I think the kind of students we've been able to attract, on average, a Plaksha student has offers from at least 8 or 10 more established, more popular universities, both in India and abroad. But I think they choose Plaksha for the right reasons, for the curriculum, for the faculty, for the kind of experience we're building. So if you want to be in a class that is sort of dynamic, that has great academic achievers, but also people who can hold conversations and can talk to you about anything, I think that's the kind of place we are building. The eligibility is that math is mandatory. So math is the only requirement, unlike other universities that have physics, chemistry, and math. So we look at math as the requirement, and physics is highly recommended, that you have physics. But if you don't, you can still apply with mathematics. There is a second category that we are going to allow this year onwards, which is students who have physics and biology, who don't have mathematics. So for those kids, you will have to apply early. And at the end of the admission cycle, there will be an assessment on math that you will have to do. This is primarily being created because a lot of students want to consider the biosystems engineering program, but they don't have mathematics. Because traditionally, when somebody looks at biology, they look at medicine as a career, but this is also a great option for those students. So that's the eligibility. How much does it cost to study at Plaksha? So if you're so there are two categories. If you're in the category A, which is an Indian student, anybody who holds an Indian passport, the fee is 7.8 lakhs per year, and the living is about 2.1. This is for a full paying student, right? And if you're an international student or any student who has an international passport, the fee is slightly higher. But having said that, we are also completely inclusive. We understand that for some people, this might be expensive and affordabilities might be an issue. The idea of founders and the Plaksha mission is to keep education accessible, which means that if you can't afford the program, we will have enough ways for you to, get scholarship. Almost 70% students study on some form of scholarship in Plaksha. We have two kinds of scholarships. One is merit-based, where you don't have to apply for it. If you are one of the good students in the pool, you will automatically get merit scholarships. But the second category is financial aid, where if you get in and your family can't afford the program, then we do an assessment on how much you can afford, and the rest of it is covered as scholarship. And there are lots of students who study on 100% plus scholarship at Plaksha, where they don't pay any tuition. So money should not be a concern for most students. In fact, our application is also free, of course. There's no cost of application. We want everyone who's meritorious to apply to us, and we will see how you can cover your tuition. So I think that was from me. I would invite everyone to visit the website and learn more. But yeah, Paramita, Sabyasachi, any questions? I think we're happy to take.
Hi, Vikram. We have received one or two queries from what is the students teacher or professor ratio in your college, in your university?
Yeah, so I think currently the faculty student ratio is about 1 is to 10 or 11. But the idea is for it to not go above 1 is to 15. So we'll always continue to maintain that ratio.
And the second questions that as you don't have a conduct any test, as you just said that, so how you actually review the skills and the competency required for a specific stream or specific course? How you validate that?
Yeah, so I sort of just covered it, but basically what we do is, we don't believe that one test can give us everything that you are. Sometimes the students are under pressure, they don't perform well, but that is the rank that they're held on, right? So what we want to do is give you enough opportunities to show us that you're somebody who can come to Plaksha and who can thrive in the Plaksha environment. So we look at your grades from for a longer time, which is 4 years, ninth to 12th. What have you scored in each subject? How is your progression been like? So that's one factor that we consider. We also consider competitive test scores. So if you've given any of them, you don't have to give it for Plaksha. But if you've already prepared and given it for them, that is another score that we take. Then we have sections for extracurriculars, co-curricular. So Sabyasachi, we actually go beyond just marks, because marks is one way that you can measure a student, right? But what about leadership? What about collaboration? What about application? What about empathy? What about communication? Marks don't cover any of these aspects. What about hunger for learning? What about passion? For Plaksha, all of that matters. And unfortunately, you can't conduct a test to measure passion, right? So what we do is we collect all the tangible things through an application, and all the intangible things are covered through the interviews, where we speak to the student for about an hour to understand, okay, you did this MUN, okay, great, but tell us, what did you learn? What role did you play? Or for example, we'll give him a question saying, okay, you come from Bombay, and in Bombay every street has a flyover on it and it makes the city look hideous. What is the solution? How can you think of this problem differently? How can technology help? So I think that's what we are trying to assess. We are trying to assess thinking. We are trying to assess, which sometimes these tests don't assess. Sometimes many of our tests, at least in the board level, are only assessing memory, right? So I think those are the things we try to weed out to build a class that truly is different.
Thank you, Vikram. And all other queries has already been answered during the session. So thanks a lot for conducting this session. Thanks, Shubham, for being a part of this session. And thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And
All the very best to everyone, and thank you. And
yeah.
do well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shubham. Bye bye.